New India Assurance, a name synonymous with trust and reliability. Embracing technology and innovation, New India Assurance has stayed ahead of the curve, introducing groundbreaking solutions to meet the ever-evolving needs of its customers. At the heart of New India Assurance lies a set of core values. These values have guided us through the decades, earning the trust of millions of policyholders across the nation. New India Assurance is an active participant in government initiatives, and we are making a significant impact on the lives of people and nation building. New India Assurance is dedicated to providing maximum impetus in all the initiatives led by IRDAI, demonstrating its commitment to the advancement and development of the insurance industry in the country. New India Assurance is not just about insurance, it is about giving back to society. Together, we leave a footprint of greatness.
Good morning. It's great to see such discipline and bright faces. All are excited, right? We are going to do a space journey, virtual though, and I'll bring you back to Earth after this session. So feel comfortable, just relax. Imaginary seat belt. You are tying and going on a space journey. So we are celebrating National Science Day. Actually, it was 28th February, the day on which Sir C.V. Raman made the illustrious discovery of Raman effect. And that is nothing but in physics, optics. In simple language, I'll explain. Light is a wave and it's particle, both. But people did not know about it a century ago, or things were not known clearly. So, Sir C.V. Raman's great contribution to this field is that he discovered this Raman effect, that is scattering of light. And I'm sure you all think of physics also this way. You should learn or know physics this way through books and through, that is theory, and through practical, that is science experiments. But main principle is that when you are outside, outdoors, look around you. There is nature around you. You look at the plants, you feel, or you ask the question why a leaf looks green. Why sky looks blue? Water also bluish, though it is colorless, we all know, right? It is colorless, but water looks blue. So, when Sir C.V. Raman was traveling in a ship from India to the destination and he received the Nobel Prize in Oslo. So, he was traveling by ship. That time there were no airplanes. So, looking at the water, he was standing on the deck and he was looking at the nature around him, and of course in deep sea you only see just the sea and sky. So he was wondering why sky looks blue and sea or the water looks bluish, different shades though. So that time he realized the physics and the nature, the closeness of that, and how we should relate nature and physics. Everyone of us observes nature, but Newton, when he was sitting under that apple tree, the apple fell down. Many had seen that happening, but he wondered why. He asked the question why. So you in science, you should ask these questions. Why? How? Things like that. So questioning is very important. And observe the nature around you. The books, the knowledge is very important, of course, studying the laws, principles, all that, and experiments. to do the practical relevance, to prove the principles. So Sir C.V. Raman taught us that, and remember, he has been India's first and foremost scientist who received Nobel Prize in Science or Physics, and first Asian for that matter. So this is how it all started. And then in the recent times, Dr. Gowariker sir, former ISRO scientist, and he was also the Vice Chancellor of University of Pune, that is SPPU now. So when he was the scientific secretary to the PM of India, he said, now this year onwards we should celebrate National Science Day, that is 28th February. So today we are celebrating it here. It's a Science Week. For me, science is every day. I celebrate science, or I celebrate space, for that matter, space science every day. So this is how it started. I'll show you one Kalpana Chawla film, so that will create a background about space. Now from Sir C.V. Raman we are going to space. Why? Because Sir C.V. Raman's student or disciple was none other than the father of Indian space program, Dr. Vikram Sarabhai. So in India, space began this way, and space sector is growing today in a big way. Chandrayaan 3 success we saw, then Aditya L1, and now Gaganyaan. We are gearing up for the man mission in the next year. So space is the actual field, space engineering and technology, where we can see the results of physics, pure science applied here in a big way, right? And we'll go to space sector now, and we all have heard about Dr. Kalpana Chawla. She was of Indian origin, but a NASA scientist and astronaut. But unfortunately, the Columbia mission met with an accident. It became the worst disaster in the history of NASA after Challenger. So, but the contribution to science by these great 7 men and women, crew members, it's a contribution and it's a sacrifice, it's a major sacrifice for science and technology, not just to NASA or to America, but to the entire world. So, to give you a gist of what lies in space, we'll watch the movie, the short film, Kalpana Chawla.
New India Assurance, a name synonymous with trust and reliability. Embracing technology and innovation, New India Assurance has stayed ahead of the curve, introducing groundbreaking solutions to meet the ever-evolving needs of its customers. At the heart of New India Assurance lies a set of core values. These values have guided us through the decades, earning the trust of millions of policyholders across the nation. New India Assurance is an active participant in government initiatives, and we are making a significant impact on the lives of people and nation building. New India Assurance is dedicated to providing maximum impetus in all the initiatives led by IRDAI, demonstrating its commitment to the advancement and development of the insurance industry in the country. New India Assurance is not just about insurance, it is about giving back to society. Together, we leave a footprint of greatness.
आदर्श आहे कल्पना प्रेरणा ती कल्पना आदर्श आहे कल्पना प्रेरणा ती कल्पना कणाकणाने मनामनाने घडवू आम्ही आपला भारत 2023 सालचा विकसित आणि महान भारत राष्ट्रपतींची स्वप्नपूर्ती हीच आहे कामना अन् प्रेरणा ती कल्पना आदर्श आहे कल्पना अन् प्रेरणा ती कल्पना सानी प म प ग म प नि नि सा ज्ञानयोगी होऊन आम्ही विज्ञानाचे पंख करू ज्ञानयोगी होऊन आम्ही विज्ञानाचे पंख करू तारे सारे मोजून येऊ तारे सारे मोजून येऊ सूर्यालाही थक्क करू सूर्यालाही थक्क करू अष्टग्रहांना जिंकून घेऊ भव्य ही संकल्पना प्रेरणा ती कल्पना आदर्श आहे कल्पना प्रेरणा ती कल्पना अंकुर आम्ही या मातीचे भेद तरी त्या अवकाशाचे ज्ञानामधून कार्यामधून रूप शोधू ईश्वराचे नाविन्याचा झेलित वारा सिद्ध करू ही साधना प्रेरणा ती कल्पना आदर्श आहे कल्पना प्रेरणा ती कल्पना असते मुठीत वेड्या मनी सारे श्रीमताक्षिता भाग्य असते मुठीत वेड्या मनी सारे श्रीमताक्षिता ध्येय दृष्टी अंगी असता ध्येय दृष्टी अंगी असता स्वप्ना नाही मिळे सत्यता स्वप्ना नाही मिळे सत्यता जीवन अवघे कृतार्थ करण्या तिचीच घेऊ चेतना प्रेरणा ती कल्पना आदर्श आहे कल्पना प्रेरणा ती कल्पना पंजाबाची खरी शेरणी व्यापून उरली अवघी धरणी तारे सारे विराजच्यावर पथदर्शक ती एकच जननी जाता जाता देऊन गेली तुम्हा आम्हाला चालना प्रेरणा ती कल्पना आदर्श आहे कल्पना प्रेरणा ती कल्पना प्रेरणा ती कल्पना प्रेरणा ती कल्पना आदर्श है ये कल्पना प्रेरणा वो कल्पना आदर्श है ये कल्पना प्रेरणा वो कल्पना कण कण से और मन मन से हम जोड़ेंगे वो अपना भारत 2020 साल का विकसित और महान भारत राष्ट्रपति की स्वप्न पूर्ति बस यही है कामना और प्रेरणा वो कल्पना आदर्श है कल्पना कल्पना और प्रेरणा वो कल्पना। सानी प म प ग म प नि नि सा। ज्ञान योगी बनकर हम विज्ञान के पंख करेंगे। ज्ञान योगी बनकर हम विज्ञान के पंख करेंगे। तारे सारे गिनकर हम, तारे सारे गिनकर हम सूरज को भी चौंका देंगे, सूरज को भी चौंका देंगे। अष्टग्रहों को जीत लेंगे। भव्य है संकल्पना, प्रेरणा वो कल्पना। आदर्श है ये कल्पना और प्रेरणा वो कल्पना। अंकुर है हम इस मिट्टी के, लेकिन सपने अंतराल के। ज्ञान में और भार में ही रूप ढूंढे ईश्वर के। नई हवाएं झेलेंगे और सिद्ध करे वो साधना और प्रेरणा वो कल्पना। आदर्श है ये कल्पना और प्रेरणा वो कल्पना। सानी प म प ग म प नि नि सा। सपने सारे सच ही होंगे, मंजिल हरदम सामने हो तो। सपने सारे सच ही होंगे, मंजिल हरदम सामने हो तो। नसीब अपना हाथ में अपने, नसीब अपना हाथ में अपने। मन में पूरी लगन रहे तो, मन में पूरी लगन रहे तो। जीवन अपना सफल बनाने, उसी से है ये चेतना और प्रेरणा वो कल्पना। आदर्श है ये कल्पना और प्रेरणा वो कल्पना। पंजाब की है सच्ची शेरनी, जीत चुकी वो पूरी धरती। तारे सारे फिदा है जिस पर ऐसी माता राज खाती। जाते जाते दे गई वो तुम्हें हमें वो चालना। प्रेरणा वो कल्पना, आदर्श है ये कल्पना। प्रेरणा वो कल्पना, प्रेरणा वो कल्पना, प्रेरणा वो कल्पना।
New India Assurance, a name synonymous with trust and reliability. Embracing technology and innovation, New India Assurance has stayed ahead of the curve, introducing groundbreaking solutions to meet the ever-evolving needs of its customers. At the heart of New India Assurance lies a set of core values. These values have guided us through the decades, earning the trust of millions of policyholders across the nation. New India Assurance is an active participant in government initiatives, and we are making a significant impact on the lives of people and nation building. New India Assurance is dedicated to providing maximum impetus in all the initiatives led by IRDAI, demonstrating its commitment to the advancement and development of the insurance industry in the country. New India Assurance is not just about insurance, it is about giving back to society. Together, we leave a footprint of greatness.
Now one short presentation I'll show, but in my field, telecommunication engineering, we say one picture is worth 1,000 words. If I just keep explaining, you may not understand in the first attempt because I need so many words to explain. But if it is one picture, you'll understand very well. If it is a film, with audio visual, what we saw just now, you will understand something and permanently remember. Okay, so end of the session there is one surprise, like some 4-5 prizes for those who answer quick questions. Later on I'll ask. So attentively, hope you have seen the earlier film and then the presentation. I'll explain some things in very simple language so that you will relate to it. But did you like the film? You understood something? How space training takes place? Right? See, actually here I am standing, you are sitting, they are all sitting here on chair. Earth has a gravity which we are used to. But when we go to space, we may experience microgravity. That is on moon. If I walk on moon now, 1/6 gravity. So moon walk or like kangaroo jump. And you saw what they experience in space, you'll experience weightlessness, zero gravity. So that kind of training is given to these scientists and engineers, qualified, extremely brilliant scientists, engineers who are picked up or selected by the space agency like NASA, or now Indian Space Research Organization, ISRO, has selected 4 Gagannauts or astronauts from India, Indian Air Force pilots for our Gaganyaan mission, right? So they are scientists or engineers, but mostly they are pilots. They need to fly airplanes and have that experience, plus many other things which we saw, endurance test. They are put inside the water, hydro lab and all, to get accustomed to the worst and extreme environment in space. Because we have to train them with stringent under extreme conditions, and only then they'll survive in space. It is not easy. They are real life heroes. So we'll start with Sir C.V. Raman. Again, back to National Science Day. We have had in India many ancient astronomers, mathematicians, scientists. We call them philosophers in ancient times. Bhaskaracharya, Aryabhatta, Varaha Mihir, and so many others in various fields, not just science and space science, medicine, and so many fields. We were always accurate. We always knew Earth is round or spherical, for that matter. Western scientists believe Earth is flat. We know Bhugol, Khagol, we call it Khagol Shastra, Bhugol Shastra, like that. So we have had many scientists and engineers in India, but the pioneering work of Sir C.V. Raman is most remarkable, and he is known as national scientist in India. Why? Because later on, Raman Research Institute was founded. Of course, he was instrumental in Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. Then in India, we have major centers, research centers like National Physics Laboratory, or it was called PRL, Physics Research Laboratory earlier. Then there is like IISc Bangalore, like I said. Sir C.V. Raman's name is given to many research centers in various places in India. And then atomic research began after independence. And Dr. Homi Bhabha was instrumental in the foundation of atomic research, and it came to be known as Bhabha Atomic Research Center later on. So Sir C.V. Raman was already conducting his research in optics in Bangalore, and IISc was his major contribution, and he received the Nobel Prize. Then he kept on doing his work, various research activities, and then meanwhile Dr. Vikram Sarabhai, who was pursuing his higher studies, MS or like Masters in Science in Cambridge, or MA Tripos they called it that time, in Cambridge, England, he was doing his further studies. But during the World War II, Indians were sent back to their own nation. That is, Dr. Sarabhai came back to Ahmedabad, his hometown, and his father was saying, you cannot go back now to England. It is very risky, and World War II was going on, because in Europe it was the epicenter, but the entire globe or world was involved in it, which is why we call it World War I, and this was World War II in 1945. So then Dr. Homi Bhabha, Dr. Sarabhai's friend, best friend, and also like an elder brother, he told him, you can do your PhD, your master's you can complete, and then you can do your PhD, you can pursue under the guidance of Sir C.V. Raman. And he did it in cosmology, and therefore later on he came to be known as the father of Indian space program. So Sir C.V. Raman actually inspired and motivated and instilled the scientific temperament and interest in science in many, many youngsters who became scientists, pure scientists in Raman Research Institute, PRL, NCL also, many places. So he was born and brought up in Chennai, now known as Chennai, Madras province, and he did his groundbreaking research in optics, or the field of light, physics of light. And he said once that a small contribution in science can give rise to an entirely new branch of science. His famous words were that. And like I said, we had many other ancient forefathers, our ancestors and forefathers, who were very good at mathematics. Somewhere the documentation is lost now, but our contribution to mathematics is zero, which India has given to the entire world. Without zero, we cannot do mathematics. Pi, the value of 3.1416 and many places now we know. But back then, our very own mathematician Aryabhatta was the pioneering mathematician in ancient India. So also Bhaskaracharya. Next. So all these scientists of the past, they had inspired Sir C.V. Raman, and he came to this optics field. He chose the field of light, and he did his doctoral and postdoctoral work and won the Nobel Prize. Now coming to astronomy. What is astronomy? Sitting here and observing the stars, the night sky. Not just stars, constellation, nakshatra. And doing that deep study, but doing by observation is astronomy. And then later on, Galileo Galilei, he invented the telescope. So because of that, we are doing great work in astronomy in today's time, in today's context. So astronomy involves the mathematics, deriving some physics and mathematics, they are both interrelated. So doing all that paperwork and also observing the sky, sitting here and observing. And astrophysics is also one more branch correlated. What NASA has done is, the space telescope you see here, it is very high resolution and it is put there in space. The astronauts went there and part by part, piece by piece, they have assembled and positioned or, put it up there in space, and it has done great contribution to astronomy. It has supercomputer in it and cameras, high resolution and infrared cameras, because of which it can see very distant celestial bodies. So this is a huge telescope, HST, or Hubble Space Telescope. And after this, now the successor of this is James Webb Space Telescope, which recently is put into space, and it has been taking best pictures. This has also far excelled its capability. Now JW, James Webb Space Telescope, is also doing its job. It's put up there in space just like HST. Then in the US there was a famous cosmologist who wrote the book Cosmos, and his lectures were very inspirational. They have inspired people like us as well. So remember, astronomy and cosmology are theoretical subjects, pure science, and sitting here and doing the observations, mathematics involved, and doing through observation, simple telescope, what I had shown, and then complex telescope, that is James Webb Space Telescope and the Hubble Space Telescope. Cosmos and astronomy, they are physics, pure physics branches. But space engineering and technology, that is engineering. So what is engineering? It is the application of science, pure science. So space engineering is quite recent, because after World War II, only then, that time airplanes were there. But post World War II, in the 1950s and 56, 57, space engineering and technology branches evolved, or they were given rise to by the work of scientists and engineers who had done great contribution during World War II. So, but see here these famous words by Socrates, the Greek philosopher. In 500 BC, he had that vision. Without going into space, without having a telescope, he said these famous words: man must rise above and beyond Earth's atmosphere, and only thus will he know more about the universe in which we live. So if you really want to study space, you should go there into space and study it accurately. So for that we need rockets, satellites, space vehicles and the satellites, etc. So space engineering technology is very recent. In the 1950s it came. But these were the words long back. Look at the vision or the prophecy of such great philosophers and scientists. Next. So space came into existence, space engineering, in 1950s. This is a rocket, a space vehicle that takes either payload or spacecraft or satellites into space. It will put it there into space. But the rocket, actually the parts fall into the ocean, either in the Atlantic Ocean when it is NASA's mission, or in the Bay of Bengal in our Indian context. So rocket is a space vehicle. It actually doesn't go into space. It will just put up the payload or the satellites or whatever, or even human beings. If there are astronauts, if it is a human space flight, rocket will just put that crew module into space. Or the space shuttle, what we saw in Kalpana Chawla's case. A space shuttle, or even the International Space Station, so on and so forth. So, space vehicle is a rocket. This is a rocket garden in NASA, in Kennedy Space Center. We go to the gardens, here also we have greenery, but there we have rocket garden. Look at this. Next. Now, this is a famous photograph clicked by Miss Sunita Williams. In the space shuttle or in the International Space Station, astronauts carry cameras. You saw Kalpana Chawla also doing photography, special cameras. So that is astrophotography. They are doing photography now here. We can send one camera, onboard camera with a drone, and put it into, at a height and even beyond the stratosphere. So that is astrophotography. Now here also the astronauts, they have cameras with them. They have taken the best pictures ever. So this is a space photograph. See, look at the clouds, they are white. Below that is Earth, right? And then you can see light blue, then it becomes darker. You can see moonrise from space. This is why many astronauts like to go to space. When I have a dream or aspiration to go to space, my name is in one Space Ambassadors program. So going to space is one heroic deed. It's risky. We saw what happened to Kalpana Chawla's mission. But going there and coming back safely, again that depends on your luck and fate. Nowadays many things are foolproof, but still anything can happen in space. So people go there for that experience of micro and zero gravity, and going there and watching, looking at Earth, the perception of a human being changes entirely forever when he or she goes into space. It's that experience. And from here we can see moon, but going there and looking at moonrise. It's a great experience. And see here, you can see horizon and then light blue, dark blue, and it becomes black. Space, emptiness. What is space? For many, many years we have wondered what lies there, right? So, 100 kilometers from Earth above, that is where from there onwards space begins. It's called the Kármán line, imaginary line. From there onwards, space begins. Airplanes don't fly in space. They are in Earth's atmosphere, 40,000 feet above Earth. Fighter planes and Air Force planes are higher. They travel or fly higher. But when we are flying from, say, Pune to Mumbai, Pune to Delhi, in airplane, we don't go in space. We are just flying at 35 to 40,000 feet. But that itself is a great experience, right? When we take off, when we cruise, when we land, then imagine what it is to go into space. It is very adventurous. It's very, very exciting. Everyone wants to know what lies there. Does God live there? Our forefathers thought that way. It's heaven, that is where gods live, something like that. But it's not like that. It is emptiness otherwise. But wherever there are stars, there is physics. There is cosmic activity. Fusion reaction takes place, and our sun is the best example of a fusion reactor, giant reactor, right? Hydrogen come together and helium is formed. It's fusion. So that is the physics behind it. So people want to go to space and look at the other things like other celestial bodies. They want to look down at Earth and see how it looks like, so on and so forth. But astronauts go there to study and conduct some experiments, like how our metabolism varies, so on and so forth. Space technology came into existence when this was made. What is it? Yes, Sputnik. The first man-made satellite. It was Russia's Sputnik satellite that was put into space, and that day onwards space engineering technology came into existence, and that was when also the space race began between USSR or Russia and America. So when it was sent into space, that week, every year we celebrate as World Space Week, October 1st week. And what did it do? Space satellite is a man-made object that revolves around Earth, artificial satellite. Moon is our natural satellite. Earth has only one moon. Mars has how many? 2. So some planets don't have moon at all, and some have so many. Saturn has the maximum number of moons in our solar system. But this is man-made object, man-made satellite. It revolves around Earth, so it is called a satellite, but it is artificial satellite. Next. So this is how the space race began. Next. Anyone can tell? Just raise your hand and tell. Yes. Green. Yes. Yes. Sit down. Good. The Russian pilot, he was selected to be the first cosmonaut, the first man ever to do a space travel. Cosmonaut or astronaut. Russians call them cosmonaut, Americans call them astronauts. In general, broadly we call them astronauts. The pilots specially trained to go into space. They are heroic, they are far more heroic than normal pilots. And they are the real life heroes. He was selected to do the first space voyage, CCCP, that is USSR, the Russian cosmonaut. In Vostok, he went into space and came back. But that itself, the landing was also not so perfect or not so great, but still he survived. And later on, he did many flights, but unfortunately, he died in an air crash. He liked always to be in air and space, and he met with an accident, and at a young age, he died in an air crash. Next. Now this is coming to America or NASA. NASA's rocket launch of Apollo mission. That is, this is Saturn V rocket. Next. The historic rocket launch, they do it from Kennedy Space Center. What we have in India at Sriharikota, that is the same year. For America, it is Kennedy Space Center. I went there 2-3 times. Next. Now, we all know this is a premier space agency, NASA. National Aeronautics and Space Administration, written in white letters. Look at the logo, it is blue and this. How does Earth look like from space? Stand up and tell, one of you. Yes. Yes. So that is, yes, blue marble, or we call it blue dot. When we go very far, we can see only one dot. So this is blue is Earth. It depicts or represents Earth, and small satellites, those dots, that elliptical orbit. There are many satellites and constellations, artificial satellites, missions done by NASA. And red vector probe is the deep space launch, or space missions that take us to Moon, Mars and beyond, and also astronauts or human space flight. Next. So NASA has been there for 6 decades and over, and they are today a $1 billion industry or agency, the most active and the most maximum funding they get. They have done the maximum number of missions, though Russians were pioneers. Sputnik and also manned mission, that is cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin. But still later on they fell apart after the disintegration of USSR. But America has been there consistently. NASA has served the entire globe, not just America. This is a famous picture of Earth at night. After my training at NASA, I keep giving talks, like today's talk, at the Institution of Electronics, Telecom Engineers as well, which is my place where I started my career actually. Though I worked in industry, later on I came into teaching. At a simple lab, a modest electronics lab I was working, and then I worked and taught aviation and airplanes, principles of flight in the Indian Aeronautical Institute, in Wings Institute, wherein there are courses like aero course, aeronautical, and also aircraft maintenance engineering. So that is 40,000 feet. What I told you, airplanes fly at that. So cockpit, whatever the electronics is there, that is avionics. I keep teaching that as well. But when I was teaching there, NASA happened, or in my case, I sent an application, I got selected and went to America and attended the NASA Honeywell Space Educators program at Huntsville, Marshall Space Flight Center, and there itself we have the US Space and Rocket Center, the rocket capital of the US. That is where the first rocket was designed and developed. So NASA's major centers are Kennedy Space Center, we saw, where rocket launching takes place. Johnson Space Center, we saw in the Kalpana Chawla video, where the astronaut training takes place. Ames Research Center, I visited that place also twice or thrice. That is where a lot of research goes on. But there are 14 centers of NASA in the US itself. The headquarters are in Washington, DC, the capital of America. Yeah, this is where we did our course. It was paperwork, theoretical, science, technology, space engineering, but later on most of it was also simulation and the real life experience, but in virtual mode. Next. We went through mission simulation, that is sitting here in the Earth conditions, but the virtual conditions are recreated like space or moon, that kind of activities we did in this academy or the training program. Next. Space shot or rocket launch experience. The astronauts are sitting in the capsule and they experience vertical liftoff. So this activity helps us to adjust to those conditions. All of a sudden you are lifted up vertically, and sometimes we have to come down. So all this training is given to astronauts. Ours was only precursor, the very first, pahili pairi, kind of the very first step. And then astronauts go through a lot of rigorous training, and we saw in the film, Kalpana Chawla film. So this is only the first step. Next, multi-axis chair. In our team integrity, my colleague, she was going through this and I was doing photography. When I did that, she took my picture. Next, microgravity. Imagine you are on moon. So you're on this floor, the simulation is, you get the feel that you are a bit weightless. Like if now I'm less than 60 kgs on Earth, there on moon I'll weigh only 10 kgs or less than that. So we feel weightless. But when you are totally in space, when there is no other celestial body to pull you, then you experience zero gravity, weightlessness. So this is microgravity or moon experience. Next. So all these real-time experiences we went through in the training with that white astronaut suit or space suit. Here I am doing the space mission virtually though. Next. Underwater rescue operation. After the astronauts come back, they'll splash down into Pacific Ocean. In our case now, the astronauts will come back to Arabian Sea or the Indian Ocean, and we'll have to bring them back. So this kind of activity we went through. I'm inside that capsule. Next, all sorts of adventures also are involved in astronaut training, remember. So this is again the space mission. Jody and myself, we went through the space activity, space walk or extravehicular activity. Next. So now you can see that white space suit is when you are exposed to radiation. So this is moon surface. Who is that? The first man. Afterwards I'll ask related questions. Wait for that. Next. Yes. What were his first words? Just say. Wait, she's first. She's. Yeah. Yes. Good. Yes. So, Neil Armstrong, when he put his first step on lunar surface, he said, "This is a small step for man and a giant leap for mankind." And these were the words that I also quoted in my essay when I was applying for this course and I got selected. We need to know the small details also. Next. Even today the flag is still there, but they say because of the radiation it is faded. But remember, there is no breeze, no storm, so the footsteps are still there. This is Buzz Aldrin taking the picture of Neil Armstrong. So astrophotography, again, remember. Next, Buzz Aldrin was the second man. We all remember his name. Apollo 11 astronaut, mission commander, Neil Armstrong. I had the honor of meeting him once. When he went to moon, he was like this, 40 years old. He was just 40 when he went to moon. And when I met him, almost 10, 12 years ago, dozen years ago, he was 80 plus. So he was a very modest person. He was sitting there in one corner and nobody knew that it is such a big personality, so down to earth. When we achieve some small feat, tiny achievements, we feel we are great, but no, the space scientists and astronauts, because they have gone far from Earth and they have seen Earth as a small sphere. And the further you go, you see only as a dot. So the ego of a human being comes down when we go to space. That is why they are great. Next, I had the honor of meeting the famous trio, they call them. So Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin and Michael Collins, the first 3 astronauts who went to moon. Of course, Michael Collins did not land, but because of him, these astronauts went to moon, they walked on moon, they did their experiments, they carried out science experiments, and they brought back moon samples, sample of rock or soil, regolith or mud, we call it moon soil, lunar soil and stones or rocks. They brought them back, but they did their experiments for which their mission objective had told them, you need to go there and do experiments. They just did not go to walk there on moon or just to show to the entire world that we are superior. That apart, they proved their science and technology capability. NASA proved that in the Apollo mission, and they proved to the world that they are the leaders in space. But also along with that, the biggest risk of sending humans to moon, 384,000 kilometers away to another celestial body. So Neil Armstrong created history by becoming the first man to go to moon, to another celestial body. Nobody has still yet gone to Mars. Okay, so they came back alive in one piece because of, thanks to Michael Collins, pilot. So this is the second man who went to moon, Buzz Aldrin. I had the honor of meeting him 3-4 times. Today at the age of 92, he's still active. He gives talks about space, about moon, Mars and beyond, and he attends events. He inspires younger generation. Look at that energy. Today, sometimes like even I feel like lazy one day and I feel I should not do any work. But look at these great people, the energy, and then we get more inspired. Next, after Apollo 11, many other missions also happened. So 12 astronauts went to moon and came back. After that, then the NASA administrators and the committee, they thought we should not send man again to moon. They stopped the Apollo missions. But now again, NASA Artemis will take the first woman to moon in the coming years, 2-3 years. The first woman will land on moon, and the next man of color, they say, maybe he could be Indian origin also. So the Artemis mission will come in the next couple of years. Next, Rusty also went to moon. We remember the first name. I met many other Apollo astronauts. Next. Now this is astronaut doing spacewalk, coming out of the space shuttle and doing some repair maintenance work. Next. This is the riskiest part. See, he's floating there, only one harness is there. He's going to fix some repair maintenance, replacement of some electronic devices. Next. Next. This astronaut engineer has fixed some panel there on the solar panel, and then he's waving to us. Actually, he's waving to the photographer or the astronaut inside who is doing astrophotography. Next. That multi-axis chair I showed you in our training, this is only first step I told you. They go through all this because it's like circus. It's really acrobatics and all that. This is very intensive training. Physical fitness is the most important factor, not just intelligence. They are intelligent scientists or engineers picked up for certain tasks and to do research in space. But astronauts are the ones that have the best physical fitness. Next. North Pole from space. Next. Astrophotography. See the, far angle, height at which it's taken. Next. So we saw just now the film also. Kalpana Chawla, one of the leading scientists in Columbia mission, she was selected for that mission, and she did it successfully in the first STS-147, and then she was selected for STS-107, which was the ill-fated Columbia disaster. But who was she? A girl from Karnal, a dreamer we saw as a child, how she was watching the sky. She went to Karnal Aviation School, did flying lessons. She always loved to fly. Then she did her engineering at Punjab Engineering College, Chandigarh. Aeronautical engineering, the first woman engineer, electronics, telecommunication, and aerospace, aeronautical engineer. She did her majors in aeronautical engineering from Chandigarh and then went for her masters in space in America. And then after double MS PhD, she got selected in NASA. So you have to work very hard and get there. Indian origin, Miss Sunita Williams, she was born and brought up in the US. She's a Navy aviator. So it's relatively easy for the American citizens. That is the first class. But going from India and getting selected there, that's very, very tough. And she did that. Next. Remember these words. If you are dreaming of achieving something, there is a path from dreams to reality. Dreams can come true. For me also it's happened. For her also. She had the dream to fly, to go to space, which she achieved. But it comes through hard work, through perseverance, determination, so on and so forth. So these were her famous words. She was known as Casey in America, in NASA. Next. There in the Astronaut Hall of Fame, it's an honor to the homage to all those astronauts and scientists who lost their lives, even Challenger disaster and so on and so forth. Next. 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 So flying is the basic criteria for an astronaut. I've only done light flight and very low and in very light aircraft, so it's very easy. But to fly commercial planes and fighter planes and to get selected as astronaut and to go into space, it's a big, huge task. Next. Life is either an incredible adventure or nothing at all. This is what pilots and astronauts say. These famous words are always with them. Next. So now, in this picture, this Miss Sunita Williams, on board the International Space Station, they were flying over India, and it was our Independence Day. So she wished us from there. She is an Indian by origin, remotely Indian though. Her great-grandparents came or hailed from Gujarat. But she is an American citizen and a very, very renowned astronaut of NASA. And she holds the record for flying maximum number of times on missions into space and for doing space work also for maximum number of hours. Even men's records, they are lower than hers. Being a woman astronaut, which is not easy. Most of the men, 5 out of 7 astronauts are men mostly. That is the majority. They say man's world, but now today we can see many, many women scientists, engineers, astronauts, cosmonauts coming in this field. Next. So coming to the Indian scenario, I told you earlier, Dr. Vikram Sarabhai was the Shishya or disciple of none other than Sir C.V. Raman. So his greatest contribution to India was not just the scattering of light and Raman effect, but producing such great eminent scientists, giving us this great personality, the scientific leader who founded or established ISRO. And he did not do it alone, with the help of and guidance of Dr. Homi Bhabha. Many, many scientists and engineers were handpicked by them, and this is how ISRO came into existence. Next. Dr. C.V. Raman or Sir C.V. Raman sir himself was the mentor to cosmologist, space scientist, Dr. Sarabhai. Next. One of you raise your hands. Who is the other person in the picture? Yes. Yes, this boy. Yeah, stand up. Yes. Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam sir, young engineer, space engineer. Look at the way he's listening to what Dr. APJ sir is explaining in that rocket component. So this was the kind of leadership he possessed. Dr. Sarabhai was a great leader. He encouraged the youngsters, come up with your creative ideas and contribute to ISRO. Next. Of course, when ISRO was established or founded, we did not want to compete with USSR or Russia, the pioneers in space. Neither with Russia nor NASA, the two major superpowers. What Sarabhai sir said is that we are doing it we are third world nation. India is a developing country, not a developed advanced country like the others. But we are doing our bit, our stuff. We are doing it to bring it back to society, to make common man's life simpler. The farmers should get benefit out of the satellites. The crop details database, today it is coming true. But that was his dream, his vision. And education through satellite, what you all did during the pandemic times. Sitting at home and attending virtual class, right? So online classes, your school was going on in online mode, correct? All this is thanks to the satellites of ISRO, and our Indian space community should be actually, we should say thank you to them, or we should be grateful to them. So this is the duo, that is Dr. Sarabhai and Dr. Homi Bhabha at Thumba. Where is this place? Anyone? Hands, raise your hand. Yes. Have you heard where is this place? Where? Yes. 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 Where is it? In which state? Yes, tell one of you who knows. Yes. In which state? Kerala. Thiruvananthapuram or Trivandrum, earlier name. Today it's known as Thiruvananthapuram. Thumba is a small village. It was evacuated and the villagers were relocated, and this was where ISRO was founded. Thumba village. Next. If you have seen the movie Rocketry, Nambi effect, the church where they do the initial research, that is the church in Thumba. Even today it is there, but it is converted into a museum, space museum. And the bishop's quarters were the place that was where Dr. APJ Kalam sir and the initial scientists and engineers of ISRO were staying. The accommodation was there. So they gave up all the family life, everything, and just went there to stay and conduct the research in space, for which today we are seeing the results of Chandrayaan 3, Aditya L1, and now in the coming times, Gaganyaan mission. Next. Yes, initially it was such a modest beginning. Look at that. Bicycle and bullock cart. The payloads and the parts were transported from place A to B, or from the church, the research lab, to the launching site by bicycle and bullock cart. Today we have come a long way. ISRO's modest beginning is from Thumba, a small place in Kerala. Today we have a big launching site in Sriharikota, many centers in Bangalore, headquarters of course in Pune, Bangalore. Professor U.R. Rao Center and Mahendragiri, there is one center. This is major center. Vikram Sarabhai Space Center in Thiruvananthapuram, Kerala. Then there is Satellite Application Center in Ahmedabad, Gujarat. There is, of course, Dehradun and other sites in Karnataka. Now new sites are coming up for astronaut training, so on and so forth, for the Gaganyaan mission. And we are expanding. We are going to have one more major launching station. Honorable Modi ji announced it recently. Next. We have advanced facility. The point or the background, the history behind this is that the whole point is we have come from a small modest beginning to a large center, and in entire India we have so many centers. We have come a long way. Next. Again here you can see behind him Dr. Satish Dhawan, whose name is given to Shah Satish Dhawan Center for the launching. He was the second chairman ISRO after Sarabhai's sudden death. And there is Madhavan Nair sir, Professor U.R. Rao, the major science technologists, scientist technologies in this picture. He was a visionary. Next. This is Sriharikota, Andhra Pradesh, Bay of Bengal side. Next. India's first satellite is named after our very own mathematician Aryabhatta. Next. And initially we took the help of Russia and the launching from French Guiana. But today India has come a long way. ISRO has grown by leaps and bounds, and today we have our own launching facility. We have everything indigenous or made in India now. Next. INSAT series began that time, and television came to India thanks to INSAT program. Next. Our own Dr. Gowariker sir, eminent scientist whose rocket fuel formula also has made it possible for India to do low cost or low budget missions, space missions. Because of the fuel cost, which is very low, we are doing missions at a low cost. Next. Meteorological satellite. Today we have many types of satellites. Next. Next. Dr. Kalam sir, he was a space scientist in ISRO first and then went on to join defense, that is DRDO. He became a space scientist and a missile scientist later on. And what is the nickname given to him? Anyone? Just one person can say. Yes, this girl, yes. Missile Man of India, right? Honorable Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam sir. Kalam sir contributed to ISRO and then to DRDO in our missile program. Today India is very, very war ready, but we don't want to use it unnecessarily. Only when someone attacks we do that. But missile technology which deals with warfare, it is not for peaceful purpose. But we should be ready. Why? Because of the neighboring countries. We should be ready. Otherwise we will become a weak country. So the space, the defense sector and nuclear power, these technologies, they are the deciding factors that will tell how a country is, that indicate how a country is powerful in terms of science technology, which today India has in all sectors, space, defense and the nuclear power. Right? Next. We'll quickly go through this. I have met many former ISRO chairmen, Dr. Radhakrishnan sir, Dr. Kiran Kumar sir. Next. Of course, Dr. Kalam sir also, I had met him once at Exploratory when he was in Pune. Now coming to Chandrayaan-1, the major mission that changed entirely the picture of ISRO. Just like for my own career, NASA was the turning point. Likewise, for ISRO, it was the Moon Impact Probe. Chandrayaan-1 did the discovery of H2O or water molecule on Moon. Remember, it is not just NASA, it is joint success story. ISRO, that is Chandrayaan-1 mission, and NASA. So, it is the discovery of water molecule and HOH, or it's called hydroxyl molecule, which we discovered on Moon. Next, then afterwards, after Chandrayaan-1, then the success of Mangalyaan. Next. Moon Impact Probe was the first mission that made India come to the global map when it comes to space. Then it was Mars. You must have seen the movie Mission Mangal. Mars Orbiter mission. In our first attempt, in our very first attempt, we did it successfully. Chandrayaan 1 and also Mangalyaan 1. All other space agencies tried 2-3 times, trial and error, and wasted so many resources and budget. But we did it successfully in the first attempt. Next. First we were outside the space club, now we are in the space elite club. Remember. Who is he? Now one person. Yes, that girl. Cosmonaut Rakesh Sharma. The first Indian to go to space, but he went through the Russian mission Salute. Next, Indian Air Force and Russian mission it was. So I keep meeting him quite often. We are coming to the end of this. Next. This is how he looks like now. Next. Kiran Kumar sir, former ISRO chairman. Next. It was when he was the chairman ISRO that Chandrayaan 2 and 3 were designed. Next. So, Buzz Aldrin sir. Next, Chandrayaan 3 was the real mission that brought India the greatest success ever. And remember, we are not just going to Moon, Mars, but now NASA's missions are to go to the edge of the solar system and beyond. So in the next consequent talks, I can come back with the other topics, but here will come to the end of my talk, which was for science and technology in the entire world, but in the Indian subcontinent, what we have done, what ISRO has done. I will not talk about defense and missiles and all now, but it is about the space missions, and Chandrayaan 3 landing of Vikram lander made it all, the picture is changed now, and also Aditya L1, solar probe, and then now Gaganyaan will come in the next few years. This is last question. Anyone can answer? Which is this spaceship? The name, stand up. Yes, stand up is born. Star Trek. The name of that spaceship? Enterprise. Yes, sit down. Okay. Will get a surprise gift, a prize. I thank the management of the school, New India School, for accepting our proposal to give a talk and to conduct this activity here. It is all for science and technology and to celebrate science in India. Remember, our nation is going through a great, exciting time, and already We are in the top 3 in the League of Spacefaring Nations and all types of technology. And Amrut Kal, like Honorable Modi ji says, and Achhe Din Aaye Hai. Vigyan for science, technology, and it will be still better in the coming times. And people like us are here to inspire and motivate the youngsters like you, so that you become the future scientists and technologists of India. It was Dr. Kalam sir's dream, because he became the President of India, a scientist President of India, which I'm sure no other nation has had. So it was his dream that youngsters will choose science and technology in some or the other way and become very, very ideal citizens of India. Thank you for patient hearing. Jai Hind.
Only class. I request Poona ma'am to share a few words.
Good morning, dear students. Good morning and namaste. I can see the excitement on your faces, and I must say that most of you were pretty engrossed in the talk, weren't you? Yes. Very good. I would like to, really thank Mrs. Bokil for having come here, Leena Bokil. And the talk was not just informative, but I must say it was very, very inspiring, wasn't it? Yes. So, the talk must have made you aware of a new branch of science, probably of which you just knew very little since you are just 7th and 8th standard students, but now you have added to your knowledge about the field or the branch of science called astronomy, and you have also been made aware of what you should be doing in order to achieve what you want. Haven't you been inspired? Yes, there is a path to whatever you dream to make it into reality. There is a path, there is a way, and that way is full of hard work, full of perseverance, yes, and determination. Without that, you cannot achieve your goals. So it is not just enough to dream. Yes, dream big. But is just dreaming enough to achieve your dream? To see it come into reality? No. You have to work extremely hard. And now as young students of New India School, what must you see first? What else did you take away from this lecture? You have to be physically sound, physically fit. Yes, to achieve anything first. And this is your age now. So see that you exercise regularly, be physically fit. A healthy mind always resides in a healthy body. So first you must have a healthy body, then you can have a healthy mind. Yes? So I would suggest that all of you work towards your physical fitness. See that you are observant to everything around you. Be curious to know. As students of science, ask the questions why, how. Yes, only then your curiosity can be satisfied to some extent. And then, of course, you need to go into in-depth study of what you want to know so as to get proper information, proper knowledge. Yes, everyone? Yes. So I would now like to request Vrinda ma'am to give the formal vote of thanks.
Good morning, everybody. Am I audible? Thank you. Honorable guests, respected Poorna ma'am, Devki ma'am, teachers, and my dear students. I am privileged to be the one making the closing remarks and extending the vote of thanks today. First and foremost, on behalf of our school, I extend my sincere thanks to our esteemed guests, Leena Bokil ma'am, her team from ASTRO-EDU, and the sponsors for today's program, New India Assurance, Mumbai branch, for such an interesting lecture and interesting video clips, which definitely added a lot of value to our knowledge bank. Thank you, ma'am, for sparing time and enlightening us today about space science and the works of our very own space scientist, Kalpana Chawla, and Indian scientists like Dr. Homi Bhabha, Dr. C.V. Raman, Dr. Vikram Sarabhai, and Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. It was indeed a pleasure to listen to you today. I would also like to thank our director, Poorna ma'am, principal of primary school, Devki ma'am, and high school principal, Mansi ma'am, for arranging this lecture for all of us present here today. My heartfelt thanks to Swati ma'am for the technical assistance, and to all the teachers, Thais and Dadas who have devoted their time and energy for the smooth conduct of this program. Thank you all for your interest and patient listening. I would love to end today's program with what Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam sir once said: learning gives creativity. Creativity leads to thinking. Thinking provides knowledge, and knowledge makes you great. Here's wishing everyone present here today happy learning. Belated wishes of National Science Day to one and all. Have a good day. Thank you and namaste.
New India Assurance, a name synonymous with trust and reliability. Embracing technology and innovation, New India Assurance has stayed ahead of the curve, introducing groundbreaking solutions to meet the ever-evolving needs of its customers. At the heart of New India Assurance lies a set of core values. These values have guided us through the decades, earning the trust of millions of policyholders across the nation. New India Assurance is an active participant in government initiatives, and we are making a significant impact on the lives of people and nation building. New India Assurance is dedicated to providing maximum impetus in all the initiatives led by IRDAI, demonstrating its commitment to the advancement and development of the insurance industry in the country. New India Assurance is not just about insurance, it is about giving back to society. Together, we leave a footprint of greatness.